Oh,
that's tape. I thought it was labels, but it's tape.
Hello everyone and welcome to Berlin. Yes, we are at the Tempelhof Aerodrome, just south of the city centre here in Germany, and we are here for round 8 of the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY, and what a contest we have on our hands. Amanda, before we get into the competitive side of this racing series, let's just explain what exactly is the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY. What are these cars all about?
Right, so the I-Pace eTROPHY is the first official, the only official support series for the Formula E Championship, and these are based on the award-winning, the multi-award-winning all-electric Jaguar I-Pace. So these are production-based cars. They're very similar to the cars that you can actually buy in the showroom, and they're identical cars, which really means that this championship is actually about driving ability, it's about making sure you don't make mistakes, and as we've seen so far, it's about consistency, because the championship is tight.
And it is special because this is the first time that Formula E has had a support series.
I think it's really important that a championship that's growing as fast as Formula E gets a support series that is, you know, in the same spirit as the Formula E. Obviously, the electric I-Pace, it's an all-electric car, brand new, and especially built to be an electric car as well. So a powertrain, the whole thing has been specially designed for this car. And
obviously, as we know, the future of electric vehicles is very, very bright. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the championship, let's take a look at the season's story so far, which started way back in Riyadh. The Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Championship has electrified 7 iconic cities on 3 continents.
The first ever Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Series races go!
The Pro-Am class has been dominated by the Saudi racing driver Bandar Al-Asai, storming to a 36-point lead.
There to win Pro-Am is Bandar Al-Asai.
And until Paris, there have been 5 different Pro winners at 5 races.
And victory for Catherine Legg. Sergio Jimenez to take his first win in the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY.
But through the rain and carnage on the French capital emerged one victor. American sports car veteran Brian Sellers. He broke the deadlock to become the first double winner in this exciting new championship.
You're competing against big names, Sergio Jimenez, Caca Bueno, Catherine Legg, the list goes on. You have to defend, you have to be prepared.
The latest championship battle played out on the streets of Monaco.
4-5 lights are on, and we go green in Monaco.
An aggressive start from Stefan Radzicki brought out a red flag.
Legg is in the wall, Legg spun around, Legg's out of the race.
Just got hit, and it was a hard hit as well.
It was the Brazilian Caca Bueno who took his second race victory, adding this historic trophy to his collection.
Caca Bueno is going to be a winner for the second time in Monaco.
Monaco is a special place to race, you know, and win the race. So I'm so happy, I'm so happy.
But it's his teammate Sergio Jimenez and Brian Sellers sitting at the top of the table, separated by just 1 point. The Pro-Am Championship is led by Bandar Al-Asai, 36 points clear of his nearest rival, Yaki Zhang. Can anybody catch the Saudi driver? I'll tell you what, Amanda, we really are at the business end of the season now. We don't have a race in Bern, but we have a double header in New York, and it's so competitive, like I said at the top of the show. Let's talk about the drivers who are racing, because these are some of the best.
That's right, we've got some fantastic drivers from across the globe. We've also got a race that's divided into 2 categories. So we've got the pros and we've got the pro-ams. Everybody needs to have an international C licence, but you get categorised by the FIA depending on the amount of races you've done, the victories that you may have scored, and that will decide whether you're a bronze, which are the pro-ams, or a silver or gold, which are the pros. And of course we've got to change this time as well, because we've got Adam Carroll replacing Stefan Radzicki.
Well, let's take a look at a very, very competitive duo going head-to-head, Brian Sellers and Sergio Jimenez.
So far this season, the championship lead has changed 5 times in the last 7 races. Now, Simon Evans was the first man to take top spot, and he was followed by Catherine Legg, Brian Sellers and Sergio Jimenez.
It's the checker flag and the win for Simon Evans, and victory in the top of the championship for Catherine Legg.
Now, one man who has yet to do that is Brazilian Caca Bueno.
Has Caca Bueno gone straight on at turn 1?
Now, despite scoring more pole positions than anyone else with 3, and alongside Brian Sellers racking up more race wins, bad mistakes in Hong Kong and Paris see him lying in 4th.
And finally a win for Bueno in the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Series.
After that first win in Saudi Arabia, Simon Evans has struggled to repeat that winning performance. And along with a string of errors, he now trails the lead by 17 points. So he's going to need something very special from the next 3 rounds if he wants to carry on fighting for the championship title.
I'm not giving up. I want to be in this championship fight right to the end.
But we need to take a closer look at the very top of the Pro Championship, because with just 3 races left, it couldn't be any tighter between 2 drivers, Brian Sellers and Sergio Jimenez.
Very consistent. Brian is very consistent, so I think we're gonna arrive in New York fighting for the title.
Now, Sellers has only failed to reach 1 podium thanks to his disqualification in Sanya. Now, both have qualified in pole position once, but it's Sellers who has recorded 1 more race win thanks to him capitalising in Paris. Now, going into this battle here in Berlin, he leads Jimenez by just 1 point with 3 races left to go. Now, on average, they both score 13 points per race. And with a maximum of 63 points on offer over the next 3 rounds, who is going to take charge of this championship?
2 really aggressive drivers, Amanda, I think you'll agree.
Absolutely. I think the team of the 2 Brazilians, Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez, make up a dream team. They've been very dominant so far in the practice sessions earlier on. Brian Sellers has been struggling, so he has got to really fight in this session.
All right, let's go to our commentators for commentary on qualifying. Jack and Hopin, over to you.
Thank you very much, and a very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Berlin Tempelhof circuit. Alongside me is Hopin Tung, the former the Jaguar 3rd driver and a man who has test driven this I-Pace eTROPHY car. And this circuit, Hopin, a little bit different to all the other tracks we go to, really.
Yeah, very different, much wider, quite quick. And one special thing about this track is the surface. Obviously, type of concrete, very rough, almost like sandpaper, so relatively high tire wear here. And obviously thermally also different because of the color, not the average dark grey, black color you have with tarmac.
Yep, indeed. So they are the cars going out onto that grey concrete and starting their qualifying session. 30 minutes long. Very interested to see when we will see the quickest time set in this session and whether drivers will push for the whole session or sit in the pits for a long time. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think the drivers will be able to set their times slightly faster than we normally see. Generally in this I-Pace eTROPHY Championship, you see drivers going out, doing 1 or 2 laps and then getting down to their best lap time. That might be maybe a lap earlier on this circuit, just due to the characteristics of the surface. And of course here, all 3 sessions in one day as well. Different from other races we've had this season. We've had the shakedown and the free practice, and of course now qualifying here in one day.
Yeah, indeed. So it means that the full focus tomorrow will simply be on the race itself, and a long wait actually as well, isn't it? Because I think the race gets underway at 3 o'clock local time in Berlin, so nice 3:15 to be precise. And of course you can well, make sure you watch it, make sure you find out where it's on and tune in. But these guys can have a lie-in.
Yeah, almost. And also, I mean, another thing that will be significantly different for the race, and actually already now for qualifying, is the fact that they're running after the Formula E's car has run a quite number of laps, and that will obviously rubber in the track significantly, will make grip even better. So as a driver and your engineer, you really have to anticipate on these changing track conditions. It's also a lot warmer than it was earlier today in free practice, which will affect tire pressures. There is a minimum tire pressure everyone has to run, recommended by Michelin, but you have to keep an eye on that, and therefore I also don't expect drivers to do very long runs in this qualifying. They would like to go out, push for a handful of laps, maybe go into the pit lane, take a bit of a break, try to let the car and the tires cool down, and then go again.
Yeah, because it's the tires are durable. It's not like the tires will, you know, disappear off a cliff and totally lose their grip, but it's just they will overheat.
Exactly.
And then they're no use.
Yeah, and this championship, drivers are only allowed to use 1 set of tires for the entire duration of the race weekend, starting from the shakedown. So it's more the thermal degradation, as I would say. Loss of grip because of overheating. Because we've not really seen a lot of tire deck this year so far. Maybe bar Rome. Rome was a tire which was relatively aggressive on the tires. This track I also expect a bit of aggressive tire wear compared to other tracks we visited with this Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY Championship.
Well, it also hasn't been very hot, has it? It's been really disappointingly rainy for the Jaguars in particular, wasn't it? Saudi Arabia was rainy and miserable. Mexico was okay. Hong Kong was rainy. Sanya was okay. Rome was warm, and then Paris was rainy, and Monaco wasn't that hot. It's not actually been that warm a season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think for these drivers, any venue they go to is new as well for them. Not just for the drivers, for the cars and the engineers as well, obviously. This Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY support series to FIA Formula E. It's their maiden season, inaugural season, and where is he? Jimenez going very close to the wall. As mentioned earlier by Amanda, it's based on the Jaguar I-Pace road car, using actually the same battery pack, same motors, same inverter, but obviously changed quite significantly for racing use, but with no previous data from the tracks they're visiting. So any venue you get to, you have to, well, I wouldn't say almost start from scratch, but you'll always have to dig into their data and information that you have gained after practice.
Here's a look at Sergio Jimenez coming through the left-hander of 4. A replay of him getting right up to it. Oh, he just brushed the wing mirror, didn't he, on the board? That, you literally cannot be closer. That's fantastic. Here's Simon Evans. Caca Bueno, for what it's worth, is quickest at the moment on a 1 minute 27.0, but expect the times to drop. Here comes Simon Evans in the Team Asia New Zealand car.
Simon, who started the season very well, and then I think in the race, most of the races had the pace, but never really managed to get it together in qualifying as he would have liked to. And we've seen, I mean, especially in this championship, with the times being so closely matched to each other, overtaking is definitely not easy, especially also because these cars are equipped with very, very good brakes. So braking distances are actually very short.
Here comes Evans. Onto the brakes, into the left-hander of turn 10. And it's 4 tenths down after the first couple of sectors, so we'll see what he can do on the next lap, more likely. Here he comes across the line, and yeah, lost another 4 tenths, because I think he went pretty wide at turn 10 to set up for this next lap. I thought you'd be... They come off the brakes almost before turning into that corner at turn 1. I sort of thought you'd be braking all the way through it, just from sort of the looks of it.
Yeah, I think these Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY cars also take a slightly different line through turn 1 compared to the Formula E cars.
Right.
They tend to hug the inside slightly longer, simply because the speed of these cars is a bit lower than Formula E. And therefore the shorter distance is quite often the faster line.
Here comes Yachi Chang. Second in the Pro-Am standings at the moment. He's finished ahead of Bandar Al-Asai in the last 2 races, but he is still some way adrift of the Saudi driver up at the top.
Meanwhile, Caca Bueno did a cool down lap, as we predicted earlier. Very slow lap to try to get some heat out of the tires, and looks to be on a fast lap now.
Yeah, he's over a 10th up, so we'll see whether he's able to get into the 1 minute 26s on this tour. Here comes Chang down into the hairpin at turn 9. Brian Sellers a couple of tenths away in sector 1 from Caca Bueno's time. Bueno does improve to a 1 minute 26.802 then. Quarter of a second up on his teammate Jimenez. Here comes Yachi Zhang. I think he's not going to improve on this lap. So we'll see what he can do on the next lap. Al-Asai and Leg look as though they've come. Al-Asai up there again, isn't he? He was in amongst the pack in free practice, and you can see he's got the white background to his number on the tower on the left-hand side. That means he's in the Pro-Am class, as Amanda was explaining earlier, and he's getting in the mix with the pros.
You see here Jens Dralle, who is a journalist for a German publication Automotive and Sport, and he's driving the Jaguar VIP car, a car that's driven by a different driver for every round of this iPace eTROPHY Championship. Usually a local hero, sometimes a former racing driver, some active racing drivers, Beltoise in the previous round in Monaco, for example, and here then Jens Dralle, who was a bit far, I would say, in shakedown. Obviously unfamiliar with these cars, but yeah, made quite a big step already compared to the first laps he turned.
This is Adam Carroll, who is racing for the TWR Techeetah team, replacing Stefan Radzinski. Great to see Adam Carroll, well, back in a Jaguar, I suppose, and also back racing. Very talented driver, winner of the A1GP Championship in 2008-9. Finished race winner in GP2, in all sorts. Blancpain GT, raced in the World Endurance Championship.
Yeah, very extensive, well, very long and successful career so far, and former teammate of me, of course, at Jaguar Racing in Formula E, and very fast driver. I've raced against Adam in many different championships.
Usually doesn't take the corners like that, though.
Yeah, like this, it's not fast. Actually, a nice stat, he's the only driver to have finished all the races in that season 3 in Formula E.
Yeah, that's a great stat. He raced here in season 3 as well, and he thought he knew the track, so he was walking down to turn 6 with his engineer and said, oh, this is going to be a nice wide fast corner, this one. They got there and he didn't realise they'd changed that corner. That's the only corner they'd changed, I think, since season 3.
Yeah, correct.
So he said he looked like a bit of a fool, but a lovely guy as well, Adam Carroll. Great fun. And here's a look at him getting up to the wall. Oh, lovely shot, right in on the cap badge. Brilliant.
Big understeer there also for Simon Evans on the turn in for turn 9.
Now he comes down towards turn 10. He's on the fastest middle sector of anyone, less than 2/10 away from Cacabueno. So we'll see whether he's able to close in and move up maybe into the top 3. Here he comes, and it is second place for Simon Evans.
Very nice to see that he also realized himself he's on a good lap. Therefore he chooses to take the shorter line on the exit of the last corner, turn 10. Shorter distance to the control line where the clock will stop, but they will place you in a wrong position on the approach to turn 1. But then if you know you're on a good lap, you are willing to sacrifice your next lap for those few hundreds you can actually gain, because those few hundreds might count. We've seen that quite often this year in this championship, or well, even now he's only 500s ahead of Sergio Jimenez in P3.
Here is Bandar Al-Assai just pulling out of the way of Sergio Jimenez, who, as Hopin says, is in P3 at the moment. Don't know why Adam Carroll is number 77. I don't think he was in Formula E. So, because Stefan Radzinski was number 18, so Carroll's obviously chosen that number for some reason. That's my task, to find that out before the race tomorrow, with 19 minutes left on the clock. Did you have a racing number you would choose, or not really? Did you never end up?
Well, when I started racing for the current team in the FIA World Endurance Championship, we've always been with car number 38.
Right.
And it's been rather successful for us, so I think I would try to stick with that.
Okay. So you never had one sort of as a kid?
Not necessarily, but along with Chinese tradition, the number 8 is a lucky number in China.
Yeah.
So if I had a choice in championships, I would usually choose something like 58, for example, 98.
Yeah.
88.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Yeah. 18 minutes to go. 18 minutes and 18 seconds left on the clock. Sergio Jimenez, here he comes through the middle sector. His first sector is 2/10 adrift. He's still only 2/10 adrift, so he's around about personal best period. Hasn't done any personal bests in sectors 1 and 2, but he's not too far away. So if he can do a neat final sector, he could improve a little. He's only got to find 500ths to be in front of Simon Evans. He's got a very light grip on the wheel there. Look at that. Yeah. He's just got his sort of thumb and first finger wrapped around it.
Yeah. Try to get these cars, based on the road car, also have power steering. And one reason for him to do like that could be just to have such a light feel in a way that you don't want to have any scrub on the car, especially when you're on the straight. Here on the straight, the car actually, you have to turn the wheel a little bit. The straight is not straight,
yeah.
You say like that. So, but still, by holding it so light, you will just make sure you have no unnecessary scrub in the car, basically. You see him looking down there at his dashboard. All these cars, of course, equipped with a race data system, and on the display for the drivers, it shows also the live running lap time, as you say. So it constantly runs throughout the entire lap, gives you whether you are faster or slower relative to your fastest lap so far. And yeah, so it's a bit of a driver's habit after every corner, especially if you've done a good one, to have a look how much time you've gained.
Here comes Jimenez, only 800ths away after the second sector, so this is a good lap. This could put him up into second place.
So I'm peeking down again before braking. Very neat last corner. So he doesn't choose for the white line. He actually chooses to stick all the way to the outside line. So he chooses to take a line that has less friction in the car. Because if you want to take the short line, you are actually putting more friction. But it's a lot shorter. And I would personally think in eTROPHY, that is the faster line if you're on a good lap.
Interesting. Here comes Catherine Legg across the line now for the Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing Team, and she's in 8th place at the moment. That last lap was 1.2 seconds off, so well, we'll see, because it's not really slow enough to be a cool-down lap, and it was about 6 tenths away from her best. So Celia Martin up there in 7th place, so Bandar Al-Asai 6th, 7th now for Celia Martin. That's a very impressive performance from her, ahead of Catherine Legg, Yashi Zhang, Zi Zhang and Ahmed bin Kanen, with Jens Thrale down there in 12th place. Legg gets on the brakes.
Car a bit tail happy there. Even though these cars are equipped with the ABS system, race ABS by Bosch, you can make adjustments as a driver yourself. So you can make also adjustment to the brake bias. So you can actually manually adjust the brake balance more forwards or rearwards, plus then assisted by the ABS. So it's a bit of a fine tuning for each driver to find your, not just your personal preference, but also what's actually giving you best performance, of course, best stopping power.
Legg was 8 tenths away in sector 1 and now 2 seconds away after the middle sector. She'll have presumably backed off now. Just puts her hand out the window there for a moment. Maybe try to get a bit of cool air.
I think she's maybe showing she's going to go into the pit lane, because the last corner going into the pit lane is so tight, you will have to significantly slow down the last corner just to warn the driver behind.
I think it was Ahmed bin Kanen
in this case, yeah.
It was, actually, it was Al-Asai who was just coming out to the final corner now. So bin Kanen is on his first, not his first lap actually, but he's done a good first sector. Jens Thrale down there in 12th place. There comes Catherine Legg back to the pit lane. There is Zhang. Thumbs up. 9th and 10th for the moment.
27.5, 27.8, not bad, he said.
Okay.
I think that's against his teammate, yeah.
Here's bin Kanen. Less than a second away from Cacabueno. In fact, the whole, apart from Jens Thrale, the whole field covered by less than a second.
Yeah, now that this championship is almost coming to a conclusion. There's only 3 rounds left, of course, in this championship. This race here in Berlin and then the doubleheader in New York. All the drivers who've been here the entire season entirely familiar now with the cars, with this fine setup tuning they can do on these cars. In basics, all the cars are identical, but of course you can change some parts of the setup. Ride heights are all identical for each car, but you can change anti-roll bars, damper settings, and such cambers a little bit. But these things, combined with the tire pressure, are quite helpful tools in getting that car to your liking. And it's not always that one setup is the fastest. So it could be even a team, for example, like Jaguar Team Brazil. Bueno and Jimenez are running a slightly different setup just because it suits their driving style slightly better.
Have you ever had a sort of teammate or something where you just can't drive what they drive? Where you try their setup and you're like, what is this?
Yes and no. I think in a championship like this, where you don't share a car, for example, in contrary to endurance racing, that is quite often the case. When you're in endurance racing, you will actually have to adapt to a certain driving style, which all the drivers are able to do. So you can just work on one single setup. It's a type of driving style you have to learn almost, and to adapt to.
Interesting. Less than 12 minutes to go. Kaka Bueno still on provisional pole position as we see a replay of Ahmed bin Kanen.
Big understeer as well. Next of turn 4.
Missed the wall though.
Hit the wall there with his left wing mirror.
So he's hit it there at some point. Here comes Jens Strahler. 2.6 seconds away from Kaka Bueno, which as a journalist, to be honest with you, he's done a bit of racing in the past as well. There's an actual full-on wing mirror, I think, on the track there. But to be 2.6 seconds off a multiple Brazilian stock car champion is not bad as we go on board with Strahler.
Yeah, and these cars are definitely not the easiest car to drive. We have a championship with a lot of very experienced drivers. I mean, Brian Sellers, reigning GT champion in the US. Catherine Leck is his teammate, second in that same championship. So yeah, some very accomplished drivers also in these type of cars. But here, these cars actually do require a very specific type of driving style. We've heard some drivers say that less is almost more. So the faster you try to go, the harder you push, the slower you actually tend to go. It's a matter of being able to carry the speed, don't over push the tire. You said don't slip the tire too much because you will overheat it and lose performance.
There is a look at the pit lane. Sila Martin out of her car at the moment. See Zhang waiting to go back out. And there is Adam Carroll joining the circuit. Currently 5th quickest, 4/10 away from Kaka Bueno. Only a 10th or so off Sellers and Jimenez and Evans, actually. It's all very close in that pack. Really, from Bueno backwards, it's very close.
Yeah, we've seen that more often this year. Bueno in qualifying really excelling, able to get that single lap together really well. And has scored more poles than anyone else this season so far.
3 pole positions for the Brazilian. And there is Brazilian 1st and 3rd at the moment. Rich Evans, the Kiwi, in 2nd place. Here comes, Simon Evans, my apologies, in 2nd place. Here comes Simon Evans across the line, then down into turn 1. Let's see what he's got this time around, the man from Auckland.
Nice tire squealing there. Of course, these cars fully electric, based on the award-winning Jaguar I-Pace. All-wheel drive. Same like Formula E cars, also equipped with regen, of course, very typical for electric cars. But I would think most of the drivers will not use that now in qualifying, although it does give you a bit more braking, stopping power. But in the race, everyone will be running regen. But contrary to Formula E, everyone actually is able to go flat out for the entire duration of the race. And also, of course, here for qualifying, drivers can do as many laps as they want, basically.
8 minutes and 23 seconds to go. Evans is 4/10 down after the middle sector. Kaka Bueno is improving after his first 2 sectors. I think he's the car in front of Evans on the road, who you can hear chirping through the final corner as Evans comes towards the line. Bueno cuts the timing beam first, and he doesn't improve. He's slower by 17 thousandths of a second. Evans doesn't improve either. He remains in second position. Jimenez third, Sellers fourth, and that's crucial for the championship. If because there's 1 point between Jimenez and Sellers, and it's Sellers in front in the standings. So, especially if Jimenez could nab pole position, that would put him not top of the championship, because Sellers has won 2 races, Jimenez has only won 1, but it would put him level on points for sure. But they're all a couple of tenths away at the moment, really, from Caca Bueno. As, here comes Adam Carroll. First 2 sectors, yeah, he's not really on it this time. Finishes 9/10 adrift in the TWR Tachita car.
Has probably stopped just now to make a slight adjustment to setup as well. Of course, his first time out in this car. Got to grips quite quickly. I think partly due to the fact that he already had experience here in Berlin, having raced here with Formula E before. Then qualifying is always, especially with these cars and being so tight, it's always a different story in a way that you have to really be able to get your lap together. Be clean, don't scrub, don't lose any speed anywhere.
It's a good lap from Jimenez. Look, he slots into second place. So Sergio Jimenez, 300ths away from Bueno, and with, as Hopin says, only 3 races to go, 63 points on the table. That 1 point, sorry, those 3 points, pole position could be vital. My apologies, it is 1 point. The Formula E point system up there. Yeah, the 1 point for pole position could be vital. As we see Bandar Al-Asai now, who, with a good race, could wrap up the Pro-Am Championship. When we get to New York, there will be 42 points remaining, and at the moment, his lead is 36. So Al-Asai, if he increases his lead by 8 points over Yachi Zhang in the race tomorrow, that will give him the Pro-Am Championship. But a first and a second won't be enough, but a first and a third would be. So if Al-Asai wins tomorrow and Yachi Zhang is third or lower, then that will give him the championship win. But meanwhile, it's Yachi Zhang who's on provisional pole in the Pro-Am class. So that would take a point away and nibble away a little bit at that advantage. Al-Asai is second, Martin is third. Lega's dropped down to 9th place now. Is she back out on track? Yes, she is. 5 seconds away in sector 1. So this is going to be a cool-down lap. Her last lap was a 28.2, which is 7/10 slower than she's previously gone, and 1.4 seconds slower than Caca Bueno at the top of the times. This is a little bit... I felt this for the last couple of races, actually, with Catherine Legge. She's been struggling unusually off the pace.
Yeah, she's been struggling, and what it's down to, I mean, in this championship, data is being shared to the extent that after every session, chunks of data are being distributed to all the drivers without knowing which driver it's coming from. But of course, if you run in a team like Brian Sellers and Catherine Legge for Ray or Letterman Lanigan Racing, you are able to share anything basically you want in terms of data, setups, whatsoever. So yeah, the gap between her and Brian Sellers is quite big. Bigger than you would normally expect.
When you consider Mexico City, where they finished first and second, leg ahead of Sellers, and they were nose to tail, inseparable really for the whole race. Here comes Ahmed Kanen. He doesn't improve. Very good first sector for Caca Bueno. 1/2 tenth up on his best time so far. So Bueno's finding time towards the end of the session with just 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Here comes the Brazilian now. Down towards turn 9. Over a 10th up now. This is a really good lap. Well, yeah, he gets there in the end. Now towards turn 10.
1 corner to go. Very nicely close up to the wall. Really trying to make the radius of the last corner as big as possible. Early on in power, let's see if he takes a shorter line as well this time. Yes, he does.
Here comes Bueno across the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does. By 0.13 of seconds. And that brings the gap out to over a tenth now. Cecilia Martin's still in the pit, so she's done for the day.
Interesting choice.
She's only done 5 laps.
Yeah, she's only done 5 laps. So either she has a problem with the car, or she must think that it's better to not run that many laps in qualifying due to the tyre wear.
So Caca Bueno's just done his fastest lap on the 15th lap of 15 that he's driven. Jimenez's quickest is on lap 11 of 13. And then you've got Simon Evans, his quickest was on lap 6, and he's done 14. Sellers was on lap 4 of 12. Adam Carroll was on lap 3 of 11. Bandar Al-Asai was on his 2nd lap, so literally his first flying lap, Al-Asai. He's then gone on to do another 13 laps and not found any improvement. So the Brazilians really seem to know how to get more time out of the car and the tyres, really, than anyone else by the looks of it.
Bear in mind that they are also the 2 cars that run the least in shakedown and pre-practice. So they will have fresher tyres, if you may say so, compared to anyone else. And it's also not just the number of laps, but it's also the way that you actually treat them. If you push, cool down, you take a break, you distress the tyres for a while, you will probably be able to keep them, well, we've seen it this year, keep them alive slightly longer when it comes to the ultimate pace.
On board with Sellers, who was
down again.
Yeah, half a second away after the first 2 sectors. And out towards the line. Caca Bueno does a proper cool-down lap that time. Sellers remains in 4th, 8 tenths adrift. Starting his last lap of the session now. With a minute to go. Looking at the back there, is that of Celia Martin's car? So I wonder if she's got a bit of a problem. That would explain why she's only done 5 laps.
In what she describes her 2nd home race. I spoke to her yesterday, and she said because she actually lives near the Nordschleife, the Nürburgring, considers this as her 2nd home race after Paris.
It's a long way to the Nordschleife from here, though, isn't it? Big country, Germany. I wonder how long it would take. I'm just going to look into it. But meanwhile, we've got Adam Carroll out there on the circuit, coming down into the hairpin.
Yeah, no improvement for Adam either here, because it's going to be his last lap as well.
Yeah, he's 7 tenths away.
Too much understeer in the car from him, from the looks of it.
It's 300. No, it's more than that. I've gone to the wrong Nordschleife. There we go. Here comes Carroll out of the final corner and across the line.
Caca Bueno has called it a day.
Yeah, that's enough for Bueno. Checker flag is out then. Is there anyone out there who can even stop? Who can even challenge Caca Bueno? Checker flag falling, no one's improving. Catherine Legg's done an okay middle sector. She might be able to get herself up a couple of positions. So let's just wait and see. Bueno across the line, no, remains in 9th place, doesn't improve. So that is a 4th pole position for Caca Bueno. There's the Brazilian. It's amazing that this is the 8th round of the championship. So he's had pole in half of the races, and he's nowhere near the top of the standings. He'll be very frustrated, I think, with his season.
Yeah, he's been, when it comes to pace, I would say he's been quite dominant. But he's not been able to always translate it into good results, especially after slipping off the road, I think in, was it in Hong Kong? Yeah. And in Paris as well, I believe.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
So obviously not scoring any significant points twice really hurts you in a championship where everyone is extremely consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. And finished down in 6th place in Rome as well, as the cars make their way back. So Caca Bueno on pole, just to finish off that thought for me. It's 650 kilometers to the Nordschleife. So yeah, it's not a local one.
4 hours in a bit, right? It's Germany after all.
The maps say 6 hours, but yeah, if you're at the wheel hoping, probably
Germany,
not.
no speed limits on the Autobahn.
Yeah, exactly. Have you taken an I-Pace on the Autobahn?
Not yet.
Okay, that's something you should do. So, Caca Bueno ends the session quickest and takes pole position. Once again, a front row lockout for the Brazilians. with Sergio Jimenez second, Evans third, Sellers fourth. Adam Carroll only 2/10 away from the championship leader in the end, in 5th place. Here's a look at the full results for round 8 of the Jaguar I-Pace eTROPHY in Berlin. Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez lock out the front row again. Simon Evans for Team Asia New Zealand finishing in 3rd place. Brian Sellers 4th, just ahead of Adam Carroll, 6/10 away, just out qualifying Yachi Zhang, which was pretty impressive from Yachi Zhang. Bandar Lasai 7th, Celia Martin in 8th. Catherine Lag falling down into 9th place in the end, ahead of Ziyi Zhang. And we've got Ahmed Bin Kanan and Jens Drala completing the 12. And yeah, it was a retirement from that session for Celia Martin. No news yet on why she had to retire. Let's go down to the pit lane and Vernon Kay.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Hopin. Interesting stuff. A lot of interesting things said there by our race commentators, especially about the degradation of the tyres and the laps, the early laps that counted as their qualifying laps.
Well, that's right. Actually, interestingly, yesterday I was talking to Caca about, or in fact today I was talking about his runs yesterday, because he hardly did any runs. He was saving his tyres because this surface here at Tempelhof is unique. It's different.
Look, James. Get down, James.
Different to all the surfaces that they normally race on, because it's very pale, and as you can see, it's very lumpy. Now that means that they're really going to be experiencing different types of grip levels. Now, Caca just said he was looking after his tyres and he just went faster than everybody else, but he's been doing it. He's been really thinking about what he's been doing. I think he is so dominant this weekend. And in fact, coming into the series, I thought he was going to be very dominant as well.
Well, we look forward to it. It all makes for an interesting race, which you can watch live tomorrow at 3:15 local time. We will see you then.